My name is Johnny Arvin. I was born behind a couple of sagebrushes with some Indians in Ely, Nevada. Now, if you want to know any more of that, I ain't gonna tell you. It's kind of east, far east. See, I'm kind of Oriental, if you want to know the truth. My mother's name was Blanche Macomb Arvin, and my father's name, William Harold Arvin, but everybody called him Johnny. I was the last one. My dad's first. His brother is middle, and I was little. But we're all named John because he picked up his brother's first name when he got kicked out of the Army for stealing a Jeep. Instead of William Harold, it became Johnny Arvin. I don't know how they did, but it was pretty neat. My youngest brother is Billy. William, he's named after my dad. Yeah, Mike, Joyce, then Karen, then me, so there was 5 of us. 5 siblings, and I am the old guy. Loved going fishing out on the White River, and I'll never forget that as long as I live. And it's still there, and it's still a fishery. My mom and dad had a horse, but they I was the one that adopted it. He was a wild Mustang at one time, and they brought it in, and Dad broke it. Yeah, he worked on it's not Mormon Ranch, owned by the Mormons. No, this was Pop Mormon, owned this ranch, and Dad was a wrangler out of Ely. I don't know what the name of the ranch is today, but it's east of Ely. And Pop Mormon, the old man that owned it, he taught me my ABCs and all that when I was a kid, yeah. His name was Pop. That was his first name. And Mormon was his last name. He's a renegade like the rest of us were. Yeah, on my mom's side. Oh, Mormon, yes, definitely. Now, my dad was Baptist. You know how that goes. It worked out fine. Hell, they was married a long time. They got a divorce once and remarried each other again. It was like they divorced about when I was probably 4 or 5 years old. Then I lived with my grandfolks in Las Vegas for, 6 months. When I come back, Dad was home and Mom was home, so I didn't leave Ely until I was 7 or 8 years old. Yeah. I did my kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade in Ely. And then Dad worked construction, so we moved all over the country, So then the following year, I went to 4th grade in Austin, Nevada. Dad had a highway job there, and we just moved. We were highway bums, follow the roads. Because Dad worked in the mines in Ely, Kennecott Copper Corporation. And then after that, he got in with a construction company, Isabel Construction. They're an old company that was raised here, or started here in Reno. I had Las Vegas, Caliente, Carson City, where the heck was it? Oh, Sonora. So actually 4 high schools in 1 year. The moving around got me. I didn't like that at all. Because you make friends, then you go to school and you get used to them, and then 3 months later, you're moving to another school, and I hated to go to a new school. It's a wonder I didn't quit school a long time ago. No, I always make friends, one way or the other. Yeah. So, yeah, when you're little, that's where I think you're using the 1st grade attached, or kindergarten, one or the other. Yeah. Paul was, 3rd or 4th grade, and I couldn't keep him in school. He'd hitchhike home or get home. They'd call me up from work. I'd get off work and go over and get him, take him back to school. Yeah, he didn't like that at all. I drove cars before I ever drove tractors, or cats, they call them, not tractors, Caterpillar. a dozer, in layman words. If you got a hardship license, you could drive back to school when you was 14 years old. Yeah. Because your family, if they had a hardship type thing and they live out of town or something, and you have to drive all that, but they got a hardship license in them days, yeah. So at 14, you get a hardship license. I didn't have no hardships. I always lived where the bus would either pick me up for school or take me home, and I never had to walk unless I wanted to. My last school I went to go to high school, and then I went to high school through my junior year in Sonora, and Dad got a job back over at Reno, so I ended up at my senior year at Sparks High School in Sparks, Nevada. It was actually 2 months before I graduated. I went into Navy, and then I went in the Navy, and I finished up my GED in the Navy, got my diploma there. Only had my last senior year, I only had art, glee club, and PE. What's going to keep my interest? I went into service in 1957. Herbert J. Thomas, DDR 833, destroyer escort radar. Most is made. Aboard a destroyer, it's not a very big ship, So we had 10 or 15 in our. We were always hanging over the side with a chipping hammer, chipping paint. So we went to Far East, all over Hong Kong, Japan. Went into China one time, from Hong Kong, Formosa, Kaohsiung, Nagasaki. Yeah, all them places. The place that was bombed, we went in there, the A-bomb. One of my favorite places is when we went up to Alaska for the new statehood celebration. We pulled into Sitka. Oh man, we got up there when it would stay daylight all night long. 2 o'clock in the morning, you go down to the bar and drink beer, or 4 o'clock or whatever. But that was neat. We fished off the ship, caught a lot of fish. Oh yeah, they had fishing poles in the locker they'd keep for the guys when we did that. The destroyer's only from the deck to the water's probably 25 feet, 30. I'm not like on a monster ship. This was a get-around ship, fast and furious. It was like our main deal was to either be plane guard for an aircraft carrier. We did maneuvers all the time, setting the depth charges, firing at drones in the sky. I almost shipped over for Vietnam, and I said, no, I'm done with it. I'm out of here. I had a little bad time there. I took AWOL for about 18 days. They didn't know I was gone when I got back. I went to the brig for 30 days, so I had to make that up at the end of my tour, So that's why I spent about 4.5 years in there. Yeah, you don't get away with that stuff. They put you in jail for 30 days, plus you when you get out, or when you're supposed to get out, they just extend you. You got to stay in until you've made that bad time up. So we had a club there in Sonora. I kept Roadrunners in Sonora. We had there was about 10 or 15 of us in this Jeep Club. We started it ourselves. Everybody wanted to join it, but we didn't want it to get it much bigger than about 10 to 15 people. You get a big club and it's no fun anymore. We always got stuck back at the end of the trail, or at the end of the line, where all the dust hits you and all you got is a ring around your lips when you get into camp. The rest is solid dust. Yeah, load up and go. Make sure you got a good gun and a good knife, and on the road. I used to take my gun, to work, because I worked in the force. Had contracts for the Forest Service. So we had a key to get in any gate we wanted to go through and then close it behind us, lock it up. And we was always back in there, so I'd go hunting depending on the season. If it was squirrel season, I'd go squirrel hunting. If it was quail season, I'd go quail hunting. If it was deer season, I'd go deer hunting after work. So when I'd get off, if I got my squirrels, I'd skin them out and everything. Put the tails in my lunchbox, or and I'd bring them home, and that's what Chris remembers about all the damn squirrel tails in my lunchbox. And rattlesnakes, yeah. We'd cut the rattlers off. When we worked up at Skull Creek, that's why they call it Skull Creek, because there's so damn many timber rattlers in there. But the water trucks, they would run over them, and the timber rattlers are big around. They're like that. And when the water truck go down the road and run over one, it'd pop like a shotgun. I mean, boom! And you get, 4,000 gallons of water and run over you and a truck, you're gonna pop too, you know? So we'd cut the rattlers off and I'd keep the rattlers. And John Joslin, he was a friend of mine. I went to high school with him in Sonora, and he worked for me. And he'd take those rattlesnakes and skin them out, and he'd cook them up. And rattlesnake meat is good, very, very good. And it's got a flavor all its own, but it's delicious. Oh, the bear. Oh, yeah, that was for me as attached me. And I went hunting with a friend of mine, and fog here, and hell, we had deer hunting, not bear hunting, deer hunting. I had a bear tag. We went deer hunting, and it was foggy, just foggier than hell. This big old deadfall laying up, and I walked up the deadfall, and this bear was coming right down at me. Scared the living hell out of me, and either he was going to move or I was going to move him. So I shot him, skinned him out and everything. We took him home. And I cleaned it, you know, you got to clean them naturally. And it was hanging in this garage where we cleaned it. And it looked just like a man hanging there naked. And after that, I could never eat bear. I couldn't shoot one. I couldn't even look at a bear hardly anymore. That did it for me. I couldn't even eat the meat. We gave it to a Mexican family, and they loved it. Not me. I'd like to go to probably Idaho, where I could get a nice big elk, like a royal 6 or 7 point. That would be my ultimate. Every time we'd go out camping, we had horseshoes. Last time I went out to Pyramid and a bunch of us camping, I left my horseshoes and everything there. Forgot them, yeah. I looked all over for them horseshoes and I couldn't find them. Oh yeah, skeet. Well, we was down the Carson River that time. I would shoot with my right hand, and then I'd show everybody I could shoot with my left hand. Chris come right behind me and said, hell, I can do that. She did it. She'd scoot left and shoot right and hit the skeets. Yeah, we went down there with Jim and Karen, and yeah, Grandma was there, and that other couple wanted to eat the crawdads live. Yeah, they would lie. He'd just eat them and show the kids, you know, they'd hold him like that. They'd look at him like, what? Yeah, one of the greatest things, and I'll never forget this till as long as I live. Well, we was down on the Carson River that time, you know, and we went fishing down there, and Brittany was fishing over by the tree, you know, and she come up and she got this fish. She was about that long. And so I come back to camp. She showed me the fish, and I said, well, how big is that? She says, this big, Papa, this big. I'll never forget that as long as I live. Well, Ashley was on her way in the hospital, and I went down. I was about half shit-faced when I got down there. They run me out of the hospital. So she was born that evening. I didn't see her for, maybe a week later. But we was like Lake Elsinore when I'd have popsicles always in the fridge when they'd come over. And I'd put them up on the counter there, and they'd come over and I'd give them popsicles, you know. they'd have it all over, you know. They loved them popsicles, I tell you. Loved them. Oh, pop my teeth out. Yeah. Grandma! Yeah, I remember that. Pop that. Oh, what's going on here? Grandma's losing his teeth. That was just a good life when I was young, you know. Did a lot of fishing, went hunting with my dad, all that kind of stuff. The best thing he wanted to do is find a log that he could bend over to take a. That was the first thing that he looked for in camp. He said to hell with the camp, and he didn't like it at all. I was gone every weekend, mostly out of White River. They're out of Ely. It's, just south of Ely, maybe 25 miles. She was a good mother. She was strict as hell, but she was a good mother. What don't you remember about Blanche? Everybody knows Blanche, you know. Get the whip out and start whacking. She'd hit me with a broom and I'd take it away from her, you know. Oh, she'd get mad when I'd take that broom away from her. Oh, totally mad. So I'd be better off just to let her whack me. That was basically her life. You know, she loved fishing, just like I do. Everything she caught went in a frying pan, I'll guarantee you that. Yeah, she was quite the person. When my mother took me the first time, went deer hunting out of Carson City, and I'd hear the birds in the bush, and I said, Mom, here comes a buck, here comes a... She said, John, that's birds, not bucks. I can remember that to this day. We were sitting up by this water hole, just kind of south of Carson City there. And I was all ready to shoot, ready to shoot. She said, John, just be quiet, that's a blue jay or one of the birds. We'd go out for 2 or 3 hours in the evening, maybe in the morning. We didn't do all-day hunt type things like later on in life. You know, I just remembered that she was always the one that taught me that kind of stuff, and you thought it would be my dad. No, it was my mom. There's a place called Ash Canyon right up behind Carson City. So me and her get somebody to take us up there, and it's clear the heck way up there. And we'd walk down that stream, and our creels at that time, you know, you could catch 20 trout, no biggie. And our creels would be full of trout. And then we'd walk all the way from Ash Canyon, clear downtown and go out to where we lived. And it was about a half mile out of town. Yeah, we went up there several times, several weekends. Just me and her, that's all there was. Just walk along and fish. You know, she says, I got one. I said, good, I got a couple too. Just a can of worms and a couple of grasshoppers and a hook. That's all you, and a pole. You get in, actually have to have a pole. Yeah, no, that was it. Yeah, do what you can while you're young. And because when you get older, life ain't the same. It goes real too fast. But that's, I'd say, have fun while you can, do what you can, love what you can. If I could change things, there would be a lot of things I'd do different. But it's past, and you can't change it. All you do is look ahead. I would say life is what I want to tell you about. And life is a precious, precious thing. You enjoy every minute you got while you're here, because you're going to lose it. And sooner or later it's going to go. So get what you can with your family at the best.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Good job.
Thank you, lady. Love you.
Love you.
Happy birthday, everybody.